Hello and welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another one of Teacher Horizons Community Connect webinar. And at this point, I'm going to start sharing my screen so I can tell you more about the topic. I hope everyone can see my screen right now. Yeah, so our Community Connect webinar today is about effective ways to support teacher collaboration. And when we start our Community Connect webinars, actually, I wanted to mention that this is our third one in the academic year, this 23-24 academic year, and we will have one more in about May. So we usually try to do 4 webinars. So if you've been to our previous webinars, thank you. And thanks for joining us in this third Community Connect webinar for this academic year. It's always great to see some familiar faces, and we really appreciate you joining because, you know, we all have things to do. And we hope that you will have you will feel like you received some value and you had some takeaways from this session. So to start with, what we really like to do to get people engaged and get thinking a little bit is we ask you to write in chat an answer to a prompt. And the prompt today is one word that comes to mind when you think about collaboration. So since our topic today is collaboration, if you can please start writing one word in the chat, please, that you think right away as soon as you think of collaboration. And, you know, of course, we're talking in the context of teaching, but I guess it could be anything. It could be in context of teaching or in general. So it'll be great if you can start writing in chat. And in the meanwhile, I would also like to remind everyone to please try and keep your cameras on if you can, because we really like our sessions to be interactive. We like to see the people who are part of our community, and you know that makes us feel close to each other, and that's one of the purposes of this session, to also connect with each other. Okay, I can see that people are already responding in the chat. Communication, yes, fantastic. Team, compassion, I really like that one. Understanding the perspective of others, teamwork, definitely. Open-mindedness, I love that. Working as a team, working together for a common goal. That's key. Communication, yeah, so communication is definitely key. Sharing, it's a lot about sharing. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, for writing your thoughts on that prompt. And it's nice to see all these different words. And I think all of those, of course, connect with collaboration. Without further ado, I would like to pass on now to Stephanie, who is one of our international advisors at Teacher Horizons. She is our keynote speaker today, and she has some really great session planned to engage us and to get us thinking about effective ways to collaborate with our teacher colleagues, or any other colleagues that we work with. And Stephanie, I would let you introduce yourself a little bit more and, of course, take it on from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavi. Hello, everyone. I am currently based in Germany, so good afternoon from Germany. My name is Stephanie, and I've been in international education since I was myself. And I have worked in countries such as China, Singapore, the UK, and as I said, I'm now based in Germany. I've held roles primarily in the secondary school division, initially as head of music department, deputy principal, and principal of middle school as well. And especially in my most recent role, I did a lot of instructional coaching, a lot of collaboration with teachers, and also with our student leadership team. And every day we had elements of how to work effectively with one another. We all have good intentions. We all want the best for our students. But collaboration can be challenging at times, especially when you're working with people with different characters, different mindsets and ideas to yourselves. So today I'm briefly going to touch upon a few little activities that you could do, be it with your department, with your leadership team, or even with your students. So I hope you'll find some meaningful interactions to what we're doing today. So the first part about collaboration is you need to know who you are. Who are you as a person? Who are you as a professional? What is important to you? Do you know your strengths, but also your areas for growth? And then getting to know your colleagues and getting to know what are their strengths, what do they thrive on, what are their areas for growth, and then see how you can put the puzzle pieces together and collaborate together. Kavi, next slide, please.
Yes.
So some of you may be very familiar with this. It's called the Myers-Briggs personality test. We're not going to do that now. That would take too long, but I'm highlighting it as one example of a personality test that shows great value of who you are and who other people are as well. Whether you're working with an introvert and you are the extrovert, whether you are driven with factual elements, or are you the more emotional type? So it is really important to understand yourself first so that you know how you come across to your colleagues as well. I do recommend you maybe bookmark that website and have a go yourself at that personality test. It is all free online as well. Kavi, next slide, please. I also want to introduce you to the DISC, D-I-S-C, personality test. It is more linked to professionalism, connecting with how you work in a bigger, larger business environment as such. Also something that you can do online. With this DISC model, you will find that your personality, your professional character will land more in one of the corners, but you will also notice that you have traits of all 4 quadrants that there are. So, but we're going to do something slightly linked, but slightly easier today. So Kavi, could you share the next slide, please? Mm-hmm. This is something that I always did at the start of the academic year as departments or when I had a full division of 200 plus teachers with me. And what this compass point shows is your main simplified personalities. If you are a North person, you are the one who is full of action, going straight for the attack on what things need to get done. You are proactive, you sprint ahead. If you are more of an East person, you like to see the bigger picture before making decisions. You are probably doing all those lesson plans, medium-term plans, seeing that big goal and how you're going to get there. If you're a West person, you are someone who loves the nitty-gritty details. You want to know when we're meeting, where we're meeting, what to wear when you're going out with your friends. So you're fine-tuned. You like to know all those little details before you take action or make decisions. And if you're a South person, you're also very important. You are the one with lots of feelings and emotions, and you want to make sure everyone around the table is happy making those decisions. You listen to everyone's voice as a priority before you go towards your future activities. So that was very, very fast. What I would like you to do is to take a minute, have a think, which compass point speaks to you the most? Who are you? You will definitely have a little bit of everything, but which one of those compass points speaks to you the most and why? And maybe give an example. So if you could take a minute and add it to a chat box, or please put on your cameras, unmute yourself, chat with us. Which compass point speaks to you the most and why? Go ahead, please.
And Stephanie, so thank you for this. As people are thinking and writing, can I ask a question? What if I feel a lot North, but I also have some East? So then what should I do? Should I still stick with North as what I like connect with?
Absolutely. Go for the one you associate yourself most, but we will have traits of everything, and you might change as well. I definitely was more of a South person when I started teaching, very much wanted to hear what my colleagues had to say, get involved with them. But then when I moved into leadership, I could not always take everyone's voice into consideration, and I had to make difficult decisions based on the bigger picture and the greater good of the school and our students. So as a leader, I'm definitely more slanted to the East as such, with a little bit of South still in there too.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Stephanie, people have already started writing on the chat. Are you able to see it? Or should I
Yes,
tell you?
absolutely. Would anyone like to unmute yourself and just share what your compass point is and why, please?
Yeah,
Petra, please go ahead.
yeah. Sorry, actually coming late. I had issues of network connection.
No problem.
Yeah, I think I'm personally an East person. I'm very mathematical, so I always want to be very analytical on things. I like research, so each time somebody tells me something, I want to find empirical evidence to something. I like details so much. My father, I think he had a condition, so each time he comes home, he wanted everything to be in the right place. So I grew up in that kind of thing because he was in the police. So I learned something to do with planning was very important to me. He told me things like planning is more important than instructional time. Because if you don't plan well, even the instruction time will be useless. So I think I grew up in the having that orientation from like the West. So it really speaks to me in the West.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And Anna, I also like what you wrote, mostly West, a little bit of South, but a flexibility taking on any role depending with the people that you work with. And that's really important as well. Now my challenge to you is, which one of those compass points do you find most challenging to work with? So to give you an example, I've mentioned I am very much an East person. I look at the bigger picture, but I find North people a little bit more challenging to work with. Sometimes they're just too fast for me because I need a bit more time to process to see the bigger picture. So, but saying that, I need them as well because they will hold me accountable. They will challenge me to move forward if I'm being too slow. And that is what my next point is going to be, is you are learning about yourself, but you're also understanding your colleagues and finding a way to balance each other out. I think, Kavi, didn't you tell me you're a North person?
I am, and that's why I'm smiling, because I'm like, oh, great, yeah, we're working together on this webinar for the first time.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. So please, who would be maybe a little bit more challenging to work with and why? But why is it important to be able to collaborate with that person? Would someone like to share, please?
Again,
Okay.
Oh, I think Edwin's trying to say, but
Anna, okay,
Yes.
let me carry on. Very quickly, finding I'm mostly East, but of course, like my colleagues are saying, you find aspects of other, personalities. I become a bit frustrated working with Northerners, pure Northerners, who I find too process-oriented and paper-oriented and less like human feeling. They don't take into account people's, whether they're stepping on people and so on to get the process done. So that's okay, but as a whole, I want to work maybe so that's, yeah.
Thank you, Edwin. Anna, you had your microphone on. Would you like to jump in?
Oh yeah, just straight away. This is something that I'm a grade 2 teacher, and I'm co-teaching with another grade 2 teacher next door. And I'm a more Western South person, whereas my colleague is North. Even though we're a very strong team, however, it was a big challenge in the very beginning to understand each other. Probably because, as you said, first of all, you need to understand who you are and what your values are. Maybe at the very beginning, I myself didn't really understand that these are the values that I value, because usually I worked with like-minded people. And this time, for the first time, I met a colleague that has been teaching in the UK for 10 years. I've never experienced working in international schools before. And I found it quite challenging. But at the same time, I've learned so much from this person, because my colleague, as you said, pushed me forward and kind of set me the deadline, because I'm all about ideas and get all those, the new innovative approach to, I don't know, inquiry-based learning, and my colleague says, well, of course, but there is something that we need to be accountable for and share with parents and all of that and kids. But yeah, so I totally understand, but I think it's very important for both sides to identify what the values are, and maybe I think what we found very important to find the values that we both value, that we share, and this is somewhere where we can agree on and move forward.
Thank you, Anna. It's a really nice summary that you've just presented as well, is whilst you have your strengths as well, the other characters, the other perspectives are really important for successful collaboration. So I hope this short activity was meaningful for you. And I do recommend trying it out with your team, but also trying it out with your students. If you've got some tension in the classroom, get them to do that right at the start when you meet them for the first time. It's a great eye-opening activity, icebreaker activity, and just the realization, oh, who am I? Who am I to others as well? And then where can I become stronger and better at what I'm doing because I'm influenced and supported by people around me as well. Kavi, could we move to the next slide, please? So once you understand yourself a little bit better and your teammates too, what I have here in front of you is the 7 norms of collaboration. It's from the company called Adaptive Schools. I like these norms very much especially when I'm working with a collaboration team, when we're discussing curriculum design, when we're having big meetings about big decisions for the greater school and so on. These 7 norms of collaboration, for example, the first one, it says pausing. If, for example, you are the one who loves to talk, pause in your meeting for a second, allow someone else to voice what they want to say. Maybe they're more introverted, they don't want to jump ahead, they might be a little bit shy about putting their feelings or their thoughts forward. Pausing also allows you to reflect on what has been said in those conversations. Paraphrasing is a great one, and I think we need to do a lot more of paraphrasing. Is what has been said, put it in your own words to make sure you really understood what others have said in your team, so there is no miscommunication or misunderstanding. Posing questions, challenge each other, share those questions, think outside of the box. What have you not asked each other yet to make whatever your aim is successful? Same thing with putting ideas on the table. No idea is bad. No idea is wrong. You had a reason for sharing that idea. And even if it might not be used immediately, it is important to voice those ideas and look at different perspectives. Similar with data. When you're making big decisions, look at the data. If you're looking at assessments for students, look at the data. Do you see any trends? If academics are improving in one class and not in the other class, look at the data. What can you identify from that? The last 2 for me, I find more important, especially when working in bigger teams. Paying attention to self and others. Am I the one who's always talking? Am I the one who is sitting quietly and not saying and just listening to what's going on? Am I involved enough in the team? And then number 7, which is a lot what I use with my senior students, is presume positive intentions. We are all there to be successful, to collaborate positively, effectively, meaningfully for our students or the greater good of the school as well. So if someone puts an idea on the table or says something that doesn't quite sit right with you, it probably wasn't meant in a negative way. Always presume positive intentions. And lastly, Kavi, next slide, please. When you're preparing for those meetings, set a meeting schedule, meet on a regular basis. Being in school is tough. You have so much going on. It's never a dull moment in school. So try and fix a time and honor that time. Stick to that time as best possible and honor what you put on the agenda. So you're not drifting the conversation. You're not wasting each other's times. Honor the time, honor what the agenda items are and your goals for that meeting. When you're in your team, maybe create your own 7 norms of collaboration. What is important for your team? Every team is a little different. So what works for you? These are just ideas adapted to suit what works for you and your team as well. And of course, build relationships, get to know each other, not just in a professional manner. Talk a little bit about your students that you have, the hobbies you have. Allow yourself to be a little bit more vulnerable with your colleagues and show who you really are. And then one thing I always highlight with my team and my students as well is be kind and be humble. We're all in this together. We all want what's best for our students. So if we are effective collaborators and communicators as teachers, then we will do well for our students as well. All right, I mean, that was a little fast, but I hope you got something out of that, and you've got the links and see what you might be able to use with your own teams and your continued work. But back to Kavi, thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I know that was such a short time, but that's the time we have for the presentation today, but I really hope that it made some of us think, and I really appreciate people participating, sharing in chat, and also sharing verbally and talking with each other as well. So thank you for that. Thank you again, Stephanie. Moving on, we now have a panel discussion where we will have, all of you will have a chance to ask questions with our panelists. And Stephanie obviously is part of the panel. And other than her, we have 3 other people. And what we've recently started doing is we've started asking Teacher Horizons ambassadors to join us as panelists. And we have had great response. So today we have 2 of our Teacher Horizons ambassadors, Anna and Edwin. And we also have another teacher who's our community member, Petros. So all 3 of them, we really, really appreciate that you're joining us. And it's great because you're part of our community. You have a lot of experience to share and a lot of insights and perspectives. So in terms of introductions, when you answer your first question, this I'm talking to the panelists now, before you answer your first question, if you can also do a quick intro about yourself, where you are, what your role is, so we can get to know you a little bit better. So what I will do is I will start with some common questions that we usually have people asking, or some big questions that everyone will benefit from. And as we are going through those, just jump in the chat, or just unmute yourself and ask a question. So please, this is your chance. And something that Stephanie had specifically asked me to say is that if you have a specific situation or scenario you are in currently, feel free to share that and ask for perspective and ask for insight. You don't have to name names, you don't have to be specific about who or what it is, but you can just share the scenario and maybe you'll get some perspective that might help you. So please feel free to ask about that in the chat or unmute yourself. And I will start asking the big questions that would hopefully benefit everyone. So the first one is, and in terms of answering, panelists, anyone like Petros, Anna, Edwin, if anyone feels like you want to start answering, you can. More than one panelist can answer the same question as well. So the first question is, sorry, just a second. How to navigate a conflict in your team, share strategies and examples. Would anyone like to start answering that one? How to navigate, I know it's a big one. How to navigate a conflict in your team. If Edwin or Anna or Petros have any perspective to share, please. Or Stephanie.
Well, I can come in.
Please. Stop.
Go ahead, Hannah.
Okay.
Yeah, Edwin, please go
Anna,
ahead.
you can go ahead then after you.
No, please, Petros, you go first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Petros.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Could you do a quick intro of yourself, where you are, what you're doing, and then?
Yeah. Okay. I am in. My name is Petros Libingi. Originally, I'm from Zambia. I'm a British Columbia certified teacher. I teach AP calculus and business courses. I'm in Dalian, China. I've been here for the past 6 years. I came here because of Teacher Horizon. And I've been an ambassador for my school system for a long time. Right. So I think that's enough, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I think how do we navigate and how do we? So come back again. What's the question again?
It's how do you navigate conflict in your team? So if you have, I don't know, some perspectives, some strategies or examples.
Oh yeah. For example, if there's conflict in my team, I think the best thing to do is you have to understand what is the problem. So if you don't understand and if you don't identify the underlying issue, you might miss the point. Maybe the problem is management did not give clear guidance what to do, deadlines, and so on. That could create some conflict. So I feel that most of the time when there's conflict, if you don't understand the underlying issue, you might miss the point.
I would like to share my point of view on that topic, if you don't mind.
Sure, yes,
Go ahead.
Omar.
Yeah. So first of all, greetings, everyone. My name is Omar. I am the head of the math department at Vision International School, as well as middle school and high school math teacher in Qatar. So basically, to navigate a conflict within a team, I personally seek to establish a safe environment where the team members all collaboratively talk in a safe environment without pointing fingers. Sorry. So basically, as a leader, you need to establish an environment where the team members just talk freely without pointing fingers, without saying like, teacher A did that and teacher B did that. So it's because of the teacher A did this problem. So there's no way to seek for solution. So basically, in order to resolve this conflict, we need to look for the root of the problems itself, other than the surface of this problem. And afterwards, we can start to establish and create some ideas that will motivate us and get us closer to creative problem-solving solution.
Okay, thank you, Omar, for sharing your perspective. Anna, I know you wanted to share.
Yeah, it's just maybe again elaborating on what's already been said, very valuable points about establishing and identifying the problem itself. When we identify the problem, then we need to understand and kind of put our ego aside, kind of being curious inquirers. Rather than sharing your opinion and on your side of the conflict first, we should ask ourselves why this person is thinking differently. What is his motivation? It's kind of you, basically, that's what I teach my kids. Kind of you step out from where you are and kind of technically put yourself into someone's shoes, in someone's circle of kind of, I make it visuals like a circle. And then when you put your ego aside, you see your main goal. And I think we're very clear in teaching profession because we know what's our most valuable value is students. We do everything to help students, and they are our ultimate goal, just to educate them and make the decisions that will benefit them first, because this is why we're in education. So I think if we have our student in the center and puts our ego aside when we're in the conflict, I think there is no way we can find the solution that will be unreasonable or not sensible for anyone. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Anna.
Just
Yeah, really good points. No, they're great points. Sometimes, because you mentioned about different perspective, right? Why is this person thinking differently? Sometimes I just think, oh, this person must be thinking differently because they're not a North and they're an East and I'm a North. So that sometimes helps me just like internalize it. There is a question in the chat. So we can take that one up, and then I do have, so this is a reminder also to please keep asking questions in the chat as they come up. And maybe Edwin, you can try and answer the next one if you would like. So this question is from Perry. How do you handle colleagues older than you at that institution? Someone holds a higher degree or, better qualification, or you hold a higher position. So maybe this is about a position of power or authority, or also having more qualifications or higher degree or being older in age than that person. So if to one of the panelists or Edwin, if you have anything to share. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kavi. And that sounds very, very familiar because they said that now the workplace, I think we have almost 4 generations in the same workplace. So that's a reality that's coming up, you know, people moving up the ranks, and they find that people who are older colleagues, they are leading colleagues who are older, more experienced, more older in terms of age and so on. This can prove to be a challenge in terms of the context. Where I come from, age is seen to be equivalent to wisdom and knowledge. So the first thing will be, what's this young man or young lady trying to tell us? We know it all. But I believe that depending on the posture that you take and the attitude, that if you come in like you want to serve the team and you're here for the overall good, then initially there could be resistance, but with time you'll find that these people buy into you, depending on how you deal with them. A lot will depend on you, how you respect them, how you empathize with them, and so on. They could be resistant. This is something I've faced myself. So I know initially there's that kind of cynicism, and then with time they realize, oh, this is a big kind of guy, and then initially, then with time they buy into you. But having said that, there are those who don't. They really make your life miserable, and so. One of the things I've tried to do is to use people who are close to them, people who can influence them, emissaries, so to speak, just to get to talk to them and they see their kind, so that they see your side of things, and then, try to bridge the gap, basically. And if that now does not work, then, now you have to maybe escalate things and so on. But I think initially, if you're very diplomatic and you play the big picture kind of person, most reasonable people, most reasonable professionals will respond to that.
Great, thank you, Edwin. And I realized we didn't do your quick intro. So if you don't mind, just a quick where you are.
Sorry about that. Yes, sorry,
okay.
Kavi. Okay, yeah, I'm Edwin Maina. I come from East Africa, but currently I'm teaching in Mumbai, India, Oberoi International School. I teach theater arts. I'm also a teacher of ESL, but I'm not teaching that currently. And I'm also a grade leader, like a mid-level leader in pastoral wing of the school. Yeah, so, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Edwin. So I actually see some good questions coming in chat, like tricky, but really good and relevant questions. So for now, I'm going to abandon the questions I had on my list because, we are here to answer your questions. And again, the next one is for all panelists. Maybe Stephanie would want to jump in because you didn't share with the last 2 ones, and anyone else. How should a team leader, and I know, Stephanie, you've been a leader before, how should a team leader deal with a team that is very critical of all decisions made, hence lowering the spirit of collaboration? That's a very good question.
It's a very good question, and unfortunately one I've had to deal with. I think it's, as I said earlier, it's about building relationships. It's about building trust. And at some point, you might have to be courageous and go to that group of people and saying, look, I have noticed that there's a lot of negativity here around this table. And unfortunately, this negativity is impacting us in a negative way, and we're not moving forward. So how about putting that negativity aside and saying, okay, here is the problem, but also provide solutions. So if I had a team member come to me with a complaint, they knew they'd have to come to me with a solution as well. So if something is not working, propose a solution. How might we improve the current situation? Because we all know that negativity spreads very, very quickly and it becomes a toxic environment, and that's not what we want. And if you have that one individual team member who might not get on board with this, have a quiet conversation with them separately, not with the big group there. Talk to them, listen to them. Where are they coming from? Where's that negativity coming from? Sometimes there might be something in their personal life that is impacting what is happening in their professional lives as well. So be there, be an active listener, and then empathize with them and come up with solutions. And someone, I think it was Anna, said earlier, it's not about judgment. It's not about pointing fingers. It is about understanding their perspective and helping them move forward as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Anna or Petros, anything else to add to that one before I move on? Maybe if you had a thought.
Yeah, so the thought I had is definitely you have to be a very good listener and very empathetic. So
Yeah.
I think, to me, from what Stephanie says, I think my takeout is you just have to be very empathetic and a very good listener.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
maybe something
Stephanie and Petros.
to add on
And Anna, sorry, we haven't had your quick intro as well. So if you could just
sure.
share quickly, yes. Thank you.
Sure. My name is Anna. I'm originally from Moscow, Russia. I've been international teacher since I started my teaching career. I started in Moscow, then I worked in the UK and also studied in the UK. Did my studies in India because my initial profession is not. I was interpreter from Hindi and other languages, but then I love teaching, so that's why I'm here. Currently, I'm in Japan in Nagoya International School. Last year I was a grade 4 teacher, and this year I'm a grade 2 homeroom teacher. There is one more thing I wanted to add to this, is that it's very important when the big decisions are made and the people come with complaints, they always need to understand why these decisions are made. And kind of, I think when the team leader shares this is what's going to happen, but first we need to start why this change has happened or why this decision is made. Because when people, same as with kids, they will not respond to you if you just tell them this is what we do, not negotiable. You always have to explain why we're doing this. And I think it's also very important to be honest and be vulnerable. And sometimes it's also very important to be kind of, we're trying this and I would appreciate your support if you could help us with executing this decision, because I'm not sure if it works. And this is how we show our vulnerability, because no one is perfect and there is no right or wrong, black or white, right? So if we encourage this collaboration and kind of their involvement in being a part of a big decision and big experiment, I think it also empower people to be on board with you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for all the panelists that shared. All of that also made me think how some of these things, like especially with this, challenge as a team leader, is not a 1 day or a 1 week thing. It's a process. Like I was a team leader in my school in Brazil last year, and it was there were some conflicts and some challenges. It was the same thing. And I had conversations with the principal, and she was like, well, take the small wins. You're not going to change things around in 1 day, and then focus on that and keep building on it. So that was another one of my learning as well. Like take a step back, be patient. Great. Thank you so much. I see that there are 9 new messages. I'm going to try my best to ask, to try and ask most of the questions, but we will have to eventually move on to the next stage. We do have time for maybe a couple more questions. So the next one, also a very good and tricky question, is how will you deal with colleagues who always speak worst of your headmistress, even though you know her to be good? So I think we're talking about situations where your colleagues might be speaking ill, speaking badly of leaders, let's say, and then how do you deal with that? So would any of the panelists would like to share something? Stephanie, Anna, Petros, and Edwin.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think it's again about a clear communication, not judging. Maybe they've had a negative experience with that person, be it a headmistress, be it a colleague. Be honest, be calm. Again, no judgment. I would probably share and say, I'm really sorry that you feel that way, that you've had that experience. I'd encourage you to give them a second chance, as I have experienced a different side to her. I've had some positive interactions. If they keep going and going, it is up to you at one point if you say, yeah, I'm sorry you feel this way, but we need to move on as well. We do have people who dwell on negativity on be it one specific person or one specific idea, but you have to make sure that you're also protecting your emotions and yourselves. If that negativity impacts you in not a good way, then you need to have the courage and that calm demeanor to say, I appreciate that. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And it might take that courage and it might be a surprise to that colleague. But as I said earlier, presume positive intentions. You don't know what they're going through as well. And they probably don't realize that their negativity is impacting you and your well-being as well.
Thank you, Stephanie. Really good point.
Agreed. Kavi, can I jump in?
Yes,
Just
Edwin, sure.
to reiterate what Stephanie is saying. I love what she says about not letting the negativity get to you, because then again, it drains your energy. And then you find that you'll be performing below optimal in terms of your delivery at work. So I think there's a place where you want to understand what really went on, be empathetic. Did you have an issue with this leader? And then show that it's in their own interest to move past that, because I mean, they can't be fixated on one issue with this person and so on. So I think, yeah, as you're doing that, again, as Stephanie is saying, protecting your own space so that you don't get drained with all this negative vibe. Yeah.
Thank you, Edwin. Yeah, really good points. I see someone raise their hand. Is it Leonard or Leonard? I don't know how to say your name properly. It should be one of those. Yes, sorry.
Thank you. My name is Leonard Katumo.
Okay.
I'm calling from, I'm in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm a math chemistry teacher at SCLP Samaj School. And I'm also a discipline teacher in my school. And one thing I can say is this conflict is very common in most institutions. And one thing I believe is when you want to handle such a problem, you really have to play the role of a referee. What does a referee do? You have to be neutral. So you have to make sure you put the two warring factions together, and you have to make them understand that the principal, the headmistress, has the control over the whole institution. So you also have to go to bite the bullet and let the chief or the headmistress get to know that there's a compromise she has to make for a team leadership to work. Because in team leadership, we have to understand each and everybody. We have to respect each and everyone's opinion. However, the situation might be difficult. We really have to get down so that we can be able to work as a team. And apparently, I'm really projecting because my camera is not working. And so that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I really appreciate how people here are just unmuting themselves and sharing and writing in chat. We really appreciate it. You know, it takes courage. You're expressing your opinions. And something else that I'm learning, I must say, is that, you know, this is multi-layered, right? Like we're in different situations, different environments, and there's so many perspectives and so much to learn. And I see some comments in the chat as well, people saying learning is continuous and I'm learning different perspectives, and that's why we are here. On that note, I'm sorry if we could not take a few other questions that were on the chat. We do appreciate it. We will move on now, and we will move on to the stage of the webinar that everyone usually loves, and it's the most popular stage, and that is breakout rooms. And before we move on, a big thank you, and we're really grateful from Teacher Horizons and from me to our panelists, to Stephanie for being a panelist and keynote speaker, and to Petros for joining, to Anna, thank you so much for joining again, and Edwin as well. Really appreciate that you are contributing and joining us as a panelist and contributing in this event. Moving on to breakout rooms. We're doing something different this time because the theme is collaboration and personality types. So I'm going to create 4 rooms and 4 groups or rooms. And so room number 1 will be north, room number 2 is south, room number 3 is east, room number 4 is west. So if you are someone who aligns most with north, please join room number 1. If you're someone with most with south, 2. If you're east, then 3. If you're west, then room number 4. And you will have the choice to join whatever room you want. So make sure you do that. And then in the room, there isn't any specific prompt just a few general things, of course, introduce yourself, your name, and then, you can discuss about some of the commonalities of your personality type, like how do you feel as a North, shared experiences, and maybe shared challenges, and just get to know each other. That's the main point of these breakout rooms. Once we come back, we will just take 1 or 2 more minutes to ask you to fill a feedback survey, and that would be the end of the webinar. So I'm going to create the rooms right now. Yes, welcome back to the main room. We really hope you had some good conversations in the breakout room. Now, there's just one quick thing to do before you leave. Well, a couple of quick things. One is I wanted to let you know that I will be doing a lucky draw for all the attendants of this webinar. And I literally go to this app and spin the wheel. I'll put all your names. I've taken down your attendees' names. And one of you will win a free career consultation from one of our experts. So just wanted to share that. You'll hear from us in the next few days. I'll email you. And before we leave, please fill out this survey. I'm going to put the link in chat. I've already added the link. It's in the chat. It really helps us to improve these webinars. We want to hear from you. And it's because, these sessions are for our community members. It's for all of you. And we know that everyone's time is precious, but we want this to be valuable for you. And it's going to take 30 seconds, not more than that. So the link is in the chat. If you can please fill the survey. And once you've done that, you're free to leave, carry on with your day, your night, whatever it is. And we hope to see you next time. And as people are filling up the survey, I wanted to say a big thank you again to Stephanie for the session. And a big thank you to our panelists, Anna, Edwin, and Petros. Really appreciated you guys joining us and sharing your insights. So please fill the survey and then we're good to go. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Mr. Kavi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kavi, for the meeting. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Thanks, Petros.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a
Lovely
good
to see you.
day.